Hi there, this is Erin Kline with Alaris Mortgage, and I am so excited to get a chance to talk to my friend Dr. Alex Loch with motivePT today. Hi, Alex.
Hello, Erin. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining me. A little bit about Alex. He is a physical therapist. He has been a physical therapist for 10 years. He's also a professional dancer for the last 15 years, which really gives him, in my opinion, a unique perspective on anatomy and injury, which is right in the wheelhouse of physical therapy as well. But he's not just a physical therapist; he's also a patient as a dancer, so he gets to see things from both sides of the coin. Um, his business model is fascinating to me. I have personally experienced working with Dr. Alex, and it was a life changer for me. So I really wanted to get together and talk with him about how this came to be and just kind of treat everybody to a little inside look on what he does. So, Alex, tell me, like, how did this start? Because you used to do in person physical therapy, right?
Yeah, so motivePT, it's 100% online virtual physical therapy and personal training. And it was birthed about a year into COVID. And the original seeds were when everyone kind of got booted from the clinic
Mm-hmm.
for safety reasons. And we were using virtual services as strictly a placeholder. So it's like, we're going to do this online. It's better than nothing. But as soon as we can get you safely back in the clinic, we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I found I was working with a lot of different people. Some were even professional dancers at the time. I had to move around the state, move to other areas, but I was able to stay connected with those people. I was able to like intake them. So initial evaluation, have a few treatment sessions, and then discharge because they were better. So it's like, okay, there's something to this, but everyone pretty much stopped doing it when the pandemic allowed us to get back into the clinic. So
Sure,
I
sure.
thought there's more to this. And if I build something that's designed to be, consumed this way, then it could be super convenient and super effective for people.
Well, that's something that I personally really appreciated, and we're going to talk about exercise adherence too in a little bit here. But it's also something I experienced the same in my business. Being that I lend in 48 states, I work with clients all over the country,
Mhm.
and prior to COVID, everybody who was local wanted to come into my office and see me in person, and I was used to that. And when we went to COVID, like I had to move everybody to the online model, to the WebEx model or the Zoom model, and I was really apprehensive about that. I really thought, okay, when the world gets back to normal, we're going to be meeting people in person again. But we broke the seal on that. And nobody
Yes.
wants to drive into my office when we can just meet this way. And if my clients are traveling, it's super easy to be able to meet wherever they are. So I really appreciate that about your business because I know when I was traveling and using your services, I was able to just pull up my app and do my exercises wherever I was.
Oh, exactly. And that's the thing is like and this is, I'm sure, true about your business as well. But for the average PT visit, a person has to take 2 hours out of their day to travel to PT, do their PT, and then travel back. And
Mm-hmm.
that is just like for a lot of people, that is impractical. So
Right?
this allows people to literally, I've had people like during their lunch break just pop on my schedule. We do a 15-minute check-in, make sure we retest things, go over a few exercises, but a lot of it is like on demand. So I know what exercise the person needs. Here are your assignments after
Uh,
that, first visit, and then just being reliable about getting those done.
Well, and talk about how the app does this because I mean, I know in my past history as a runner getting injured, and I would go to physical therapy. And like you said, I would drive and I would wait, and then I would have my appointment, and then I would drive home and I'd have this sheet of paper of all these exercises I was supposed to do. And I'm somebody who really is good at adhering to things that I want to do.
Mhm.
And my sheet of physical therapy exercises was something I never did. It would get set down on the counter. I would never do it, even though I knew I was supposed to. It was out of sight. It was out of mind. I'd think about it right before I was going to bed. I'd be like, I don't need to do that. But with your app, it was like poke me and tell me I needed to do it. And it would just take 5 minutes. I do one exercise.
You are not alone in not adhering to your exercises, Erin. That is one of the biggest problems with PT. So this was like one of the main missions I wanted to set out because if you only do your physical therapy and your exercises when you're with your physical therapist, once a week, every other week,
Uh,
there is so much life happening between visits and everybody forgets. One, most people don't do their exercises. And two, if they do, they forget like what technique they're supposed to use with the exercise. So I, in the clinic, would constantly have to correct people when they came back for additional visits because they were doing something incorrectly. Where it's like, I
Mhm.
was like, okay, what I'm going to do instead is here's 5 or 6 minutes. I'm going to record myself doing the exercise. I'm going to tell you all the technique stuff. And then as long as you've pressed play and followed along, then you are done with that exercise for the day. So that has been a great thing to get people to actually consistently do their exercise, because I asked like 15 minutes. I feel like that's what people can give. It's like, okay, we're
Mhm.
going to do 3 exercises today. Tomorrow they'll look a little bit different, but I have seen PTs give people 10, 12 exercises, and there's just no, in no world is somebody doing that much exercise every day. That's too much to ask out of anybody.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It is like once you look at that list, you feel defeated right when you look at it, because you're like, there's no way I'm going to get all done. Should I even do a couple of them?
Right. Where do I even
Yeah.
start? You know,
Hmm.
it would be just, and like you said, exercise sheets of paper, they do not inspire somebody like, hi, I'm gonna grab that sheet of paper and get these done, you know?
Right. Well, and that, I mean, and then you're able to deliver your content to everybody, regardless of where they are, whether they're in a different state or a different country, whether they're traveling or they're stationary.
Yeah, exactly. And if somebody, like you said, if they're traveling, so if they, I'm based out of Minnesota, but I treat people in Seattle and Florida and New York and wherever they are. But what's great is even if I'm seeing somebody locally who's in my same city, everything is still virtual. But when they go on their vacation to Mexico, they've got the app. They're able to access it. And if something comes up or they have a question, I've had people in Mexico doing PT visits with me. So it's been very cool. And it's been just like, it's a different paradigm of thinking about physical therapy. But for me, the magic of recovery is not in showing up to your PT, it's doing the work a little bit each day. So that
Mhm.
consistency with clean technique. So there's the dancer piece. I'm very
Right.
specific on like exercise technique, but if you can do just a little bit every day, your body is going to make huge changes.
Well, and you also make the videos fun. So, even
Yeah.
if I would get a video that had an exercise I had done before, I would still have fun watching it, because, you're so friendly and cheerful and make jokes, and it's entertaining to do.
Yes, and that was another thing about motivePT is I had identified like a few different problems with PT, and one of them was PT is boring, because it can be so boring to just for everybody to sit there and watch somebody do exercise, or to just show up somewhere and just work your way through exercises. So it's like, okay, we're gonna add a little music, we're gonna make it light while it's educational, and then if it's fun, people are more likely to do it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And don't you have a wellness program too, like a mobility or flexibility program?
Yeah, so I've everything. The big piece is like the customized programming for each individual. But then if
Mhm.
somebody is just like, no, I want like 15 minutes of healthy movement. I don't have any specific injury. Then I've got like a keep moving plan, super affordable. It's like 25 bucks
Mhm.
a month, and that changes every month. And then
Mhm.
one of the coolest new things we have is pelvic floor specifically. So people who are leaking when sneezing, leaking when laughing, leaking when they're getting up or exercising. We developed just the 6 week program where it's again at home. Do it in the privacy of your own home. It's going to start from this, ground level 1, and then every week it's going to progress a little bit over the 6 weeks. So hopefully by the time you've done your 6 weeks, you are leaking a lot less.
Yeah, well, and it's funny, but that's a pretty common problem, and people don't really like to talk about it.
Yeah.
Especially common to women who have had children,
Yep.
but also as we
Who
age.
have children. Yep. Women who have gone through menopause or are going through menopause, and then men with any kind of who have had any kind of prostate procedure. It is like
Mhm.
hugely common. So millions and millions and millions of Americans are dealing with it. So it's just like we don't talk about it because it's not real comfy to talk about, but exercise is the thing that can help the most with that. So,
Well, and I would much prefer to do your 6 week pelvic floor program than go buy Depends. So I,
oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. But that's the reality for so many people when they
right.
are they've got to put on a pad if they're going to go exercise, or, you know, throughout their day, or they're not even leaving the home just because they're super concerned about that happening. So it's a huge quality of life issue. And
Yep.
I talk about it lightly, but I know it's so serious for people. But it's like,
I,
if a 6-week at-home exercise program is going to make your life better, then it is 100% worth doing.
yeah. Well, and like you said, I mean, we joke about it, but you try to take things that are maybe uncomfortable for people to talk about and
Yeah.
talk about it in a way that makes them a little bit more approachable and a little bit less scary.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Now, what would you say? I will tell you that when I first met you, my thought was like, how is he really going to be able to analyze what's going on with me without seeing him in person? Talk
Yes.
about that a little bit.
Yes. So I will tell you, being in the clinic, when somebody verbally told me what was going on, 85 to 90% of the time, I did not need to touch that person to know what the exact problem was. Just because,
Mhm.
like, anatomy training, experience, it's like, yep, I suspect this is a hip flexor strain. So I'm going to do my assessment to confirm that. So then
Mhm.
my challenge was, okay, I've got to figure out like what an assessment looks like when I'm not putting my hands on somebody.
Mhm.
Uh, so then what I did was got creative and figured out how, okay, if I have somebody do a single leg balance, I'm looking for the quality of that. If it's a single leg balance with a little bit of a knee bend, so like a little bit of a mini squat, I can tell what hip muscle groups are weak depending on the technique of that exercise. And then I did that for just a lot of the different body parts. And I feel that was a big concern of mine when I first started. Am I going to be able to do this consistently and effectively?
Mhm.
And now, like, I have no qualms with that. And if it's an issue I feel like I can't handle, I am not shy to shop that out to somebody else or make a referral. But I feel so comfortable in my ability to assess somebody's movement over the camera now that it's just, for me, it's a no-brainer. But for a lot of people, that is the thing. Like, how will he know? But
Uh-huh.
there are lots of ways to know.
Well, and it's funny, like a lot, a lot of realms, our mind shift has really shifted since COVID. Our mindset has shifted because we are now more used to doing things virtually, but in those areas where we were so used to it being an in-person touching thing,
Yeah.
it's hard to like expand your brain and say, how is this going to work? But I and everybody I've ever recommended to you has nothing but great things to say about how you have correctly assessed what's wrong with them and delivered them a rehab program that has worked for them and worked for them in a really good amount of time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes, I love doing it. So like those assessments I took you through or friends through, it's we revisit the same tests.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect, based on what I've assigned you and your performance of it, that is going to improve. So you
Right.
should be able to hold this position longer or demonstrate more flexibility. And if you're not, then we got to change course. But yeah, like you said, it's once you do it, you're like, oh yeah, yeah, this is great. This works
Yeah,
great.
this is awesome.
Yeah,
Why didn't I learn about this 10 years ago? Well, it's because you didn't exist
exactly. Exactly.
in this sphere. But it's funny too. One of the other things I love about your app is like even if I just do my first exercise of the day and I'm not doing the other two till later in the day, I do it and it checks off. And then I know that you get told that I was being a good student and I did the work you assigned to me.
It
So
is.
I'm one of those task people. Like it checks it off for me. I'm like, I did my thing. Now Dr.
Yes.
Alex is gonna be happy and proud of me.
And you're right. I do see it on my end, which is so nice because now I don't really have to ask people, did you do your exercises this week? I can like literally see they did this one, this one, this one, this one. Oh, looks like they missed this day. That must have been a busy day.
Right.
So it's that kind of a thing where like I'm able to see it. People are able to check it off when they're done. And accountability doing it this way versus when I did it in the clinic, this way is people are so much more accountable and doing stuff so then people get better much faster.
Right. Well, and I mean, when you're in a physical therapy clinic, you weren't calling every patient every day to say, did you do your exercises today?
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's say somebody's got an injury or they're interested in your Get Moving plan, or they just want to learn more about your business and how it might be helpful to them. Because if they're in my realm of, running and triathlon and cycling, unfortunately, this is the way life goes. We run until we get injured and then we rehab and then we run again.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
all athletes need to know you. But
for
how do they
sure.
get a hold of you if they want to learn more about you or need to talk to you about an issue?
Yes. So I will say it's always free to talk with me. So I let people do a consult. I don't charge anything for that. If they need to hear more about it or just kind of bring up what specific concern they have, I can make sure we're sort of a good fit. So
Mhm.
the three probably best ways of getting a hold of me. One, our phone, you can call or you can text. The number at the clinic here is 218-321-0977. And then our website, people can self-schedule their own consult, so they can push free consult, pick a time in the calendar that works for them, and then we'll meet there. So our website is motivept.com, and motive is motivpt.com. And then otherwise, email me. So Alex, Alex at motivept.com. Again, motive without the E.
Exactly. Just like what's on your background.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for taking time to talk with me today. I really, really appreciate it.
You bet, Erin. Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Yeah, have a great afternoon.
You too.